City, Huntsville, Alabama. Today we're at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, and we're going to be learning about the Saturn V and stopping by the gift shop on the way out.
Come on, let's go learn and have some fun.
Saturn V Rocket is the rocket best known for carrying mankind from the Earth to the Moon. At the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, you can see two full-size Saturn V. The one behind me is kind of hard to miss.
And they just repainted it. It stands 363 feet tall and can be seen from miles.
And though it looks very real, it is not. It is a life-size model. If you were to open up that shell, you would not find any of the components or parts you would need to launch this rocket.
When you stand beneath them, you can clearly see these rockets are fake.
The second Saturn V can be found inside the Davidson Center for Space Exploration, right next to the pretend Saturn V. This rocket is kept indoors and displayed lying on its side.
This is a real Saturn V rocket.
It was the most powerful vehicle man has ever built. When NASA's Apollo program was canceled in the early 1970s, there were still a few Saturn V rockets that had been built but never got the chance to launch into space. This is one of those leftover rockets. When the fuel tanks of this rocket were full, it weighed 6.2 million pounds.
That's the same weight of 400 elephants.
This rocket is here because you could say that this is where it was born. In 1960, German rocket scientist Wernher von Braun became the director of NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center on Redstone Arsenal here in Huntsville, Alabama. Von Braun and his team designed the Saturn V. This was over 50 years ago, before computers were being used by everybody for everything. The Saturn V wasn't designed using a computer program. It was designed on paper using slide rules and math knowledge in the engineers' heads. Von Braun and the NASA engineers discovered that it would take a 3-stage rocket to escape Earth's orbit and carry astronauts to the moon. Staging is stacking multiple rockets on top of each other. As each stage drops off, the rocket loses weight, making it easier for the next stage to propel the spacecraft. As you walk under the Saturn V, here you can easily see each stage labeled on the floor below you. The first stage of the Saturn V is easy to recognize. On the bottom of stage 1, you will find 5 massive F1 rocket engines.
In fact, the 5 in Saturn V come from these 5 powerful engines.
They provided the thrust needed to get this giant rocket off the ground and up into the air. Each of these F1 engines burns 3 tons of fuel each second. The first stage burned for about 2.5 minutes before it ran out of fuel. It would take the rocket up to 42 miles above Earth's surface and then drop off, leaving stages 2 and 3. The movie, Apollo 13, did a great job of recreating what this stage 1 separation must have felt like for those astronauts.
Get ready for a little jolt, fellas! That was some little jolt.
The second stage also had 5 rocket engines, but they were the smaller J2 engines.
They didn't have to be as big because with stage 1 now discarded, the rocket didn't weigh nearly as much. The engines on stage 2 fired for 6 minutes and took the spacecraft to an altitude of 115 miles above the Earth. Both the first and second stages fell back to Earth when they disconnected and landed in the ocean.
Only the third stage stayed in space.
The third stage had one single J2 engine that would fire to shoot the vehicle towards the moon and then fire again to get it back from the moon to Earth. The third stage housed the command module and the LEM, or Lunar Excursion Module. 3 astronauts would live and work in the command module and the LEM during the Apollo mission. One final thought. Using the same amount of fuel it took for just one flight of the Saturn V, your car could drive around the entire world 800 times.
And now we're going to take a trip to the gift shop. Is that what you want to do?
I would love to. This is what I found. I found a cute little toy Neptune. It is soft and it is a planet. And then there are all of the little planets, and you can tell what they are on the feet. Like this is Saturn. This is Jupiter, and this thing is the sun. It looks nothing like the sun. It looks like a hairball from a cat. And this is Venus. And that's basically, wait, there's 2 other ones. This one is Mars. This one's Mars.
This is what I really like at the Space and Rocket Center. It's a Rocket Center double wall cup, and it's $20. But if you can't make it to the Rocket Center, you can always buy this at rocketcenter.com. Thank you for watching, and we hope you learned something, and we hope you had a blast.